Am I the asshole for not forcing my parents to invite my fiance to their upcoming Christmas party? Christmas in my 28 male family is a big deal. My parents' holiday parties are pretty extravagant and beyond family. Only a select few get invites. This includes close friends and neighbors. My siblings and I can make suggestions, but it's our parents' party at the end of the day, which means their decisions are final. My parents also happen to be notoriously hard to impress. I'm gonna go ahead and do it. A few of my friends have made the invite list for the party before, but slowly as I've gotten older and lost touch with people, that list has dwindled down to just my longtime best friend and former roommate, Jordan, 32 male. We grew up in the same neighborhood, and he even worked at my dad's company for the majority of his 20s. While he's my friend first and foremost, he's clearly also a friend of the family. My parents love him and have since we met when I was 15 and he was 19. I got engaged in September after dating my fiance, 29 female, for around a year and a half. She wasn't put on the guest list last year, and she didn't see it as a problem since she was busy with her own family festivities. I hadn't really put much thought into what might happen this year besides a brief mention to my parents about adding her sometime last month. As always, my parents email my siblings and I the final guest list on November 1st in order for us to look it over and give our thoughts as they finalize final numbers in preparation to send out invitations and RSVPs. As I looked over it this morning, I noticed my fiance's name wasn't on there. An important note is that the party isn't the only Christmas celebration had. I also stay with my family on Christmas night in order to open presents the next morning, and all significant others are invited to that. I told this to my fiance and she was livid. She said it was beyond disrespectful that Jordan got an invite, but she didn't, and that I needed to stand up to my parents. I told her it was their party and they had the final say, but that Christmas festivities would still happen. This just gave her time with her own family again. Am I the asshole? Edited to add, after texting them for a reason she was left out, my mom told me that multiple people had expressed distaste for her in the past, and that she was trying to minimize the amount of negativity/drama as much as she could. If I had to guess, I know who these people are. My sister and Jordan, who have both had slightly unpleasant interactions with my fiance in the past where she claimed they were both stuck up. I now feel even more caught in the middle. I don't know about you guys. This all sounds very fancy. This sounds like a Rose Christmas party before they lost everything. Now, even then, it seems like they wanted everyone there. It wasn't a small thing, it was a big thing on purpose. These folks having a very limited guest list on purpose is kind of designed to be offensive, right? It's kind of designed to be, we only accept the exclusive people. You have to be elite to get an invitation to this party. I'm sorry. Really, I am. But a couple of our elite club members don't like your fiance. They've had some run-ins with her in the past where she called them both stuck up. Can you believe it? I know, that's what I said. Unfathomable. I don't know why the fiance would get the idea that any of these people are stuck up. This is a cultural thing. Okay, microphone. Calm down. I know. You have something to say too. It's like, This is a cultural thing for him, for the OP here. He grew up like this. He doesn't know any better. It's part of his life, and he was brought up with thinking that all of this is just perfectly normal and okay. There's got to be the ability, though, when you are, I'm going to go ahead and say betrothed, so engaged. Let's assume that they're going to get married and spend the rest of their life together, which is what you're supposed to do when you're engaged. I think you have to be able to see from that person's point of view as well. And that means he's going to have to gain a deeper understanding of what her beliefs are and how she was brought up and how she views things. Because then he would be able to see how this, at minimum, is weird, and at maximum, is just stuck up and dickish. He's not an intentional asshole, but he's an asshole. So let's reference our ASCON scale and find out where exactly OP fits here. As a reminder, we'll start with ASCON 1 is the worst, and then it goes down in severity from there. So ASCON 1 is no way you should have done that. You're a terrible human being. ASCON 2 is definitely shouldn't have done that, but it doesn't make you a terrible person. ASCON 3 is you probably should have approached that differently, and ASCON 4 is you probably could have approached that differently. Maybe you're an asshole, maybe you're not. I think we're somewhere in between kind of 2 and 4, so I guess 3. You probably should have approached that differently. And I think that's probably the most accurate one that we have here. So let's say AskCon 3. Yes, you're an asshole. You're like a level 3 asshole. And level 1's the worst, so you're not terrible because you don't know any better. The point is, and why you are an asshole or an AskCon 3 asshole here, is that you should know better. You don't know better. You have to get the ability to know better by adapting to your fiance's point of view and understanding where she's coming from and seeing that how you experienced life is very different than how the average person experienced life, and clearly very different from how your fiance experienced it. So gain an understanding. Yes, you're an asshole. You're not the most severe level of asshole though. So congratulations for that. Am I the asshole for taking our son trick-or-treating without my wife? My 29 male, wife 30 female, and I have a 4-year-old son. As Halloween approached this year, my son let me know that he wanted to dress up as characters from his favorite show at the moment. These aren't costumes that are readily available to buy, so I was going to have to do some crafting magic and make them. I'm a stay-at-home father, and my wife is something of a workaholic. She could cut down on her hours if she wished, but she's always been a very work-driven/focused person. She's not very maternal. Because of this, my son has never been very attached to her. They have time together at dinner, but even during times when my wife is off work, like during bath time and bedtime, it's always just me. This isn't me complaining. I signed on for the stay-at-home dad life and I enjoy every minute of it. I just wish, for his sake, that she would be more involved. About a month before Halloween, my son asked if my best friend, 35 male, could dress up with us. He had already assigned himself and me a specific character, and I had started work on the costumes, so I figured it wouldn't be a big deal to add one more. He adores best friend. They have such a sweet bond, and have since my son was born. I asked best friend if he wanted to join us trick-or-treating, and he immediately agreed. During dinner the following night, I asked him what character he wanted his mom to be. My son said he only wanted to go trick-or-treating with daddy and best friend. Over the course of the next week, I would casually bring it up again to my son, and he continually gave the same answer. My wife was clearly hurt, but would always brush it off. Fast forward to Halloween night. I had spent weeks working on these little costumes for all of us. As we were getting ready, my wife and I got into a big argument over the fact that she didn't have a costume. I pointed out that if she had wanted me to make her one, she could have requested I do so, or she could have gotten one for herself. She said it was ridiculous that the 3 of us were doing a matching theme and leaving her out of it, and that she wasn't even going. In the end, best friend and I took him trick-or-treating alone, and my wife still isn't speaking to me because she can't believe I actually went without her. Am I the asshole? So I think as a stay-at-home dad or stay-at-home mom, and I think we have to reverse the sexes in this story and see if it changes how we feel at all. It didn't for me. I feel the same way. Having the feeling of wanting the other parent to be more connected and involved is natural. But it feels like OP let the kid make the decision here, instead of making the decision with the other parent. The other parent lost the right to pitch a fit when they waited till the last second instead of speaking up earlier about wanting to be involved in the Halloween adventure. Instead of speaking up immediately, they waited till the very last second and then blew up about it. So OP is the asshole for letting the kid decide, and the other parent is an asshole for waiting to the last second. Yeah, both a-holes for that. It feels like, in general, OP, who is the stay-at-home dad, needs to start leading instead of following the direction of his kid and start nurturing the bond between the kid and the other parent. That's the right thing to do. And I think that most successful home environments that you see do this in some way. It takes effort and understanding from everyone, but more than anything, it's an opportunity to teach, to lead by example. In this isolated Halloween incident, you're both assholes. But overall, there's hope. It's just going to take a little bit of work, a whole lot of understanding, and infinite patience. Good luck with that. You can do it! You can do it all night long. May the odds be ever in your favor. Am I the asshole for disconnecting the internet and not paying my daughter's phone bill? I'm 39 female. My daughter Jane is 20 female. I am by no means a perfect mother, and my husband Tom isn't a perfect father, but we did our best all her life and tried our best to make sure she never wanted for anything. I know exactly where we went wrong as parents, and I honestly think giving her unrestricted internet access was the problem. Jane is offended by everything, and she claims a lot of things caused her trauma. One of the major things that caused her trauma, in her own words, was my migraines, which I started to experience in my mid-20s. During a migraine of mine, Tom would either take Jane out for a few hours or take her for a play date, or to either set of grandparents. Jane claims this was traumatic because she was forced to separate from me, despite the fact that she did not even know until she was in her teens. I had, at most, 5 migraines a year. Jane claims me going back to work part-time when she was 15, 3 days a week while she was in school, was deeply traumatic because it meant a change in her routine. That change was that dinner wasn't on the table ready for her as soon as she got in the door, and she had to wait an hour. Jane is unemployed. She's not in college, and she does no housework. She won't even walk the dog she brought home without permission, and has decided the arguments it has caused between us are also traumatic. She runs a TikTok account, which recently came up on my For You page, and like the terrible, awful mother I am, I decided to snoop. Jane has over 10K followers, but most of the comments are genuinely making fun of her, calling her a snowflake, telling her to touch grass. She had a few videos about how she grew up below the poverty line, essentially in the ghetto, which is a complete lie because she was raised in a lower middle class household in a pretty affluent area. A lot of her posts with the nasty comments were about me and Tom, and how much we traumatized her over the years by being awful, terrible parents. I confronted Jane pretty much as soon as I got done snooping, and she blew up, saying I had no right to call her out on it. She was saying that it was going in the trauma bank. Not her words, but pretty much what she meant. I told her if she wants trauma, she very much needs a different kind of help. I don't know what got into me, but I ended up unplugging the Wi-Fi router, locked it in my bedroom, and spent ages on the phone to our service provider canceling her phone contract. She's crying all day, saying it's unfair to cut her off like this. My husband thinks I've gone too far, and that Jane will just weaponize this against us, making our lives more miserable. Am I the asshole? Before I dive into this, which is like my worst nightmare as a parent. By the way, we'll get there. You may have been looking at this shirt thinking, man, that looks like a cool shirt. Looks like something Chiefs related, right? I wonder what's on the back of it. Let me show you. That's Pacheco, the beastly stud of a number 10, because you know who isn't there anymore. Now, that part just kind of looked like I was milking a cow. Let's not use that part. I feel like it got weird. This sweet shirt is on our web store at reddit-sedit.com. This story scares the living shit out of me because as a father of 5, we've learned different things at different phases that we can apply down the line, and we've become more wise as parents as we go. It sounds like this is OP's only kid, and the problem with having just one kid, not that having one kid is a problem, that's not what I'm saying, so stop right there, okay? Just don't even start. I could just see you getting your comment ready. That's not what I meant. The problem with having one kid is that you learn things as you go, and you never get the opportunity to apply those lessons to the next kid. And one of the big things that I've seen is that kids will either learn a little bit at a time, or they're going to learn all at once. Learning a little bit at a time is obviously the least painful route for both the parent and the child, and when it is time to enter the real world, they're ready for it, and it's been a gradual journey. OP has chosen the latter route of getting herself in a situation where her kid has to learn everything all at once and feel an immense amount of pain, as well as OP to learn the lesson that is needed to be able to function in the real world. Pain creates change, right? Well, OP finally got to a point where she had enough pain that she took drastic action. Being a parent is just madness all the time. As a parent, you have a responsibility to take some kind of action to try to prepare your child for the real world, and that's kind of where I'm going with all of this. OP has a responsibility to do that and took action. It sucks that she waited so long that the action she took had to be so drastic. So, not the asshole for it. Could have been handled differently. OP's learning the hard way. Am I the asshole for humiliating my friend? My friend Lisa and I, both 30s, have been close since college. We've never had serious issues before and have always confided in each other about any issues we've had. 6 months ago, Lisa asked me out for dinner to a new tapas place. I'm Spanish, I miss tapas greatly, and I was excited to go. After we were done, she apologetically told me she forgot her wallet. No issue, it happens. I covered the bill, which was massive. Why are tapas only cheap in Spain? She never paid me back. This has happened several times since then. I tried asking her if she has money troubles, but she only laughed uproariously. She'd then tell me she would wire me the money as soon as she got home. She never did. I promise this is a Reddit post that I'm reading. It is not the summary of Inventing Anna. Yesterday, we went to the same tapas place with some more friends. On the way there, I was talking to a friend of ours about how we had gone to the restaurant before, how delicious it was. I then said, "Oh yeah, that's when Lisa forgot her wallet," and added most jokingly, "and she never paid me back." I genuinely wasn't trying to start anything, but I can't deny I was miffed. I had talked to her about the money several times before, but had never gotten anything back apart from, "OMG, I'm so sorry. I'll transfer it as soon as I get home. I'm really sorry." Well, Lisa obviously overheard, and although she looked kind of pissed, she said, "Oh gosh, yes, that's true. I keep meaning to transfer it to you. How about I cover your bill tonight?" I was super happy about this and accepted gratefully. We then got to the restaurant, and before we went in, some of us were smoking outside, and I saw her bag, which was weirdly empty. I then asked her if she had her wallet with her. She dismissed me laughing and said, "Of course I do." I then told her, "Look, I just saw your bag and I don't think your wallet is in there, and frankly, I'm not setting a foot inside the restaurant before you show us you brought it." Gotta admit, I was really angry at that point because it really felt like she was going to use me again, since I was her closest friend there. Everyone else didn't understand the context and just looked at me weird and told me to calm down. Well, long story short, we fought and it turned out she really hadn't brought it. I yelled at her that this was the 5th time in 6 months and that I was done paying for her only to never get my money back. I then went home. I feel guilty, but also kind of happy that I stood up for myself. On the other hand, Lisa is super hurt by the whole thing. Keeps saying I humiliated her and that she never did it purposefully. When I asked her how it's possible this has never happened in 12 years of friendship, but now has happened 5 times in 6 months, she had no answer. We are speaking, but things are really tense and uncomfortable. "The wire is coming. I can pay. I can pay. Your money is coming." You're not a total asshole for this. It could have been approached differently. And in our ASCON scale, that lands you around ASCON 4. You're the least severe kind of asshole, which is you probably could have approached that differently. Maybe you're an asshole, maybe you're not. It's not you should have approached that differently. It's you could have approached that differently. You were conditioned to react this way through repeated awkward situations where she had forgotten her wallet. Amy 2.0 is Lisa. So all you Lisas watching, we know that this isn't like an every Lisa thing. We have Amy and we have Lisa, and those are 2 isolated incidents. All the Amy's, all the Lisas, you're good. You could have approached it differently, like at minimum, taken her aside and quietly had this conversation. However, you were completely justified in what you did because of what she's done to you before. So you didn't have to do that. I don't think you're an asshole for doing that. Whatever's going on is serious enough for her to repeatedly lie to you. She loses the ability to take issue with being humiliated when she repeatedly humiliated you by lying to you and sticking you with the bill. So I don't feel bad for her getting humiliated when she's been lying about something. We just don't know what it is. It is very Anna Delvey-like. I can pay. I can pay. I can pay. Can't help it. It's just right there. Anyway, ASCON 4, you're only a little bit of an asshole.